Support WrestleTalk!
Tell a friend.
Hello and welcome to Fantasy Booking Warfare, where we give our pitches for topics that you suggest over on our Patreon page. This month's topic is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35, which was suggested by Jack Van Fleet. If you haven't already, go and check out Laurie Blake's video on the same subject and then vote in the poll above my head for which you thought was the better one. Watch both videos before voting, obviously. And also watch mine before clicking Laurie's video, obviously. Anywho, here is my Fantasy Booking Warfare for Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35. So my booking starts in the week before Survivor Series, particularly following that Raw where #Facebreaker broke the face of Becky Lynch. So we are going to do a bit of history rewriting. Things like Shayna Baszler lost the NXT Women's Championship to Kairi Sane at NXT TakeOver War Games. But that should be about the only bit of history we rewrite. So it's the SmackDown following #Facebreak, and Becky Lynch comes out for a promo complete with a shiner given to her by Nia Jax. She says that the medical staff at WWE have said she cannot compete at Survivor Series against Ronda Rousey. And while this is bad news for everyone who ordered the WWE Network just to watch her break the arm of Ronda, this is great news for Rousey as she won't be embarrassed on pay-per-view in front of the whole world. Lynch says that she has to pick someone to take her place at Survivor Series this Sunday, and she calls out Charlotte Flair. Flair eventually comes out and Becky looks at her solemnly. She said that they have taken each other to hell and back again. She admits that she's not proud of some of her actions, like walking out at Super Showdown, and for the things that she said about Flair never earning her spot. She knows that Flair has earned everything she's got in this company. The first Hell in a Cell match, the first main events of a pay-per-view, even the SmackDown Women's Championship victory at SummerSlam. Becky says that she never hated Flair, but Flair earned her utmost respect at Evolution. Charlotte wouldn't stay dead and buried even though Becky had left her in that position. She tells Charlotte that there is only one woman she trusts to take on Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, and that woman is Charlotte Flair. Flair doesn't say anything during all of this, she just listens. Eventually she lifts up her microphone and says, "I won't let you down, champ." They shake hands and they hug. It's a lovely moment and it puts a bow on the Flair and Becky feud. So now we're at Survivor Series and it's the main event of the show. I won't go into which brand has more wins and losses because really that sort of thing doesn't matter. The important thing is that this is the main event of the show. It's Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. They have the same awesome match they had on that show, only in this version Ronda is showing slightly more heelish tendencies. After a series of reversals, Flair locks in the figure 8 and it looks like Ronda is about to tap, when from out of nowhere, Shayna Baszler, Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir jump the barricade and dive into the ring to attack Flair. Ronda scurries into the corner to recover as the other three beat down Flair. Eventually Ronda stands up and has this look on her face that says, "The hell are you guys doing?" But then she gets a wicked smile on her face and they all attack Flair. From the back, Bayley and Sasha Banks run down to make the save, but the numbers game gets too much for them, and the MMA horsewomen stand tall to end Survivor Series. On the following Raw, Ronda and her new best friends come out to the ring with Rousey introducing each person to the main roster audience. However, Stephanie McMahon comes out and reveals that while Ronda is signed to Raw, the other three are not. But she is a fair woman and she's going to give them a chance to win their spots on the show. Shafir beats, let's say, Dana Brooke very quickly, but in a tag match between Baszler and Duke and Ember Moon and Natalya, Bayley and Banks come down and cause a distraction, allowing Moon to get the pin on Jessamyn Duke. Rousey and Shafir are furious in the ring, tending to their friends as Bayley and Banks walk up the ring with big old smiles on their face. On the following SmackDown, we see Becky come out for a promo recapping what happened at Survivor Series and the previous night's Raw, and she reveals that she's had a conversation with Paige about how the losers from that show would be a lot of fun to have around on SmackDown, as their good target practice before Becky finally gets her hand on Ronda. Shayna Baszler comes out and reveals that part of her contract for signing with SmackDown would be that she gets a guaranteed championship match at TLC, which Becky gives a big old smile about. The war is on. At TLC, we see Ronda Rousey successfully defend her Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks, but we also see Baszler capture the SmackDown Women's Championship from Lynch due to interference from Duke. The closing shot of the show is once again the MMA horsewomen standing on the ramp, only this time with both women's championships, while the WWE horsewomen lick their wounds in the ring. Heel heat. In the build-up to the Royal Rumble in January, it's announced that Bayley will face Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship, and Shayna will defend her title against Naomi. To be honest, it could have been anyone really, because Baszler's going to win. Ronda also successfully defends her championship, but with no interference. In the Rumble match itself, it comes down to Becky, Flair, Banks, Shafir, and Duke. This next bit isn't really important to my overall story, but I do want to put a bow onto everything I possibly can. So there's a spot during the Rumble where Nia Jax punches Becky in the face with her #facebreaker, only this time Becky completely no-sells it and goes to town on Nia, eventually throwing her out on her own. So anyway, back to the important bit, the final five of Becky, Flair, Banks, Shafir, and Duke. A Baszler distraction on the outside leads to Charlotte Flair getting eliminated by Duke, and then she and Shafir dump out Banks. It's now Becky versus Shafir and Jessamine Duke on her own. They play this up on commentary like a real Becky versus the world scenario, including a spot where she eliminates both of them, but Baszler distracts the referee so they don't see the eliminations. Eventually, with straight fire in her belly, Becky eliminates both Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke and wins the 2019 Royal Rumble. Baszler is on the outside furious, and Ronda comes out onto the ramp from the back holding up her title. Becky grabs the microphone and tells Ronda that her days as champion are numbered. On the following Raw, it's announced that Ronda Rousey is not allowed to defend her championship at the request of Becky Lynch, because she wants to make sure that she faces Ronda at WrestleMania and no one else. The build to Mania is all built around the MMA Horsewomen vs WWE Horsewomen feuds, including a 4-on-4 war at Elimination Chamber. And while it may feel like I'm booking more of a horsewomen fantasy, in reality these matches, angles and feuds are all done to build intrigue and make you want to see Becky versus Ronda. They're always kept apart as much as possible in all of these matches and moments. They will have epic stare-downs and promos, as well as some powerful points to the WrestleMania sign, but very rarely do they actually touch in the build-up to Mania. In fact, in the 4-on-4 match, they never touch at all. It's always teased, but it never quite pays off. You're just going to have to wait until WrestleMania to see them clash. Also in this time, Stephanie McMahon and Paige make a joint announcement for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, with a tournament that will be contested over Raw, SmackDown, NXT and NXT UK, with the titles being defended across all four brands. This culminates at Fastlane, where Bayley and Banks defeat the Riot Squad in Block A, while Duke and Shafir defeat Trish Stratus and Lita in Block B. And yes, Duke and Shafir can be tag team partners because the belts can be defended across all four brands, you see. Again, this is all just colour for the real story, which is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. I just like to put these bits in. In the Raws and SmackDown leading into Mania, they air a lot of video packages to hype the Rousey and Lynch match, with sit-down interviews with Becky and Ronda, with comments from people that they've faced along the way. We want to make this feel like a legitimate fight. The videos put over that Rousey is undefeated and no one has even come close to beating her in ring. She has never been pinned, she has never been submitted, she is undefeatable. On the SmackDown before Mania, Flair is having a match with Jessamine Duke in preparation for her bout with Baszler for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Mania, which by the way is also happening. When all of a sudden on the video screen, we see Ronda Rousey attacking Becky backstage and locking in the armbar. The same scene we saw just before Survivor Series, but, you know, the other way round. Ronda walks out to the SmackDown ring with Todd Phillips shouting about how she's a Raw star, she shouldn't be here. And she gets in the ring and she beats down Charlotte Flair with Jessamine Duke. Baszler runs out from the back with Shafir and they all beat down Flair. But here comes Becky with a chair. She runs down to the ring and clears house, waffling Duke and Shafir with the chair. Flair throws Baszler out of the ring and Becky reverses a Ronda strike into the disarmer, only for the other four horsewomen to drag her out of the ring. Becky does that finger thing, you know, the one that says, "Ooh, that were close." All of this will come to a head at WrestleMania 35, with the whole show being billed as horsewomen versus horsewomen. They dominate the posters, with Becky and Rousey being the front and center of all the show's marketing. They even do a press conference on the Saturday before Mania, the same night as the Hall of Fame, and invite real press to the main event. And I do mean real press, you know, people like ESPN, not just online bloggers or cultaholic. This gives Ronda and Becky the chance to deliver what would essentially come across as unscripted promos, from answering questions from the press about their fight. As you would imagine from a press conference in WrestleMania times, it would break down into a shoving match and a brawl breaks out with the other horsewomen trying to hold back their respective leaders. It's chaos, but it makes headlines to build even more interest into this WrestleMania main event. So here we are, WrestleMania 35. We've seen horsewomen clash with other horsewomen throughout the night as Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke capture the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships and Shayna Baszler retaining her SmackDown Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. But now here we are, the main event of the show. Becky comes down to the ring, the challenger, accompanied by Bayley, Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks, ready to face down the champion Ronda Rousey, who comes down to the ring with the SmackDown Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, along with the newly crowned WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke. As a nice little extra, they even bring in Michael Buffer to do the introductions, to give this a real big fight feel about it. In the corner to my left, the challenger. She hails from Dublin, Ireland, a former two-time SmackDown Women's Champion and the winner of the 2019 Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch. And in the corner to my right, she hails from Venice Beach, California. She has never been pinned. She has never submitted. She is the undefeatable Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. I won't go blow for blow in the match because I'll leave that to the agents, but suffice to say there's no interference or schmoz, it's just a classic WrestleMania main event, ending with Becky Lynch tapping out Ronda Rousey with a disarmer and becoming the new Raw Women's Champion. She celebrates around the ring as the crowd goes wild, the MMA horsewomen walking up the rank, all dejected, oh we lost. And then the WWE horsewomen lift aloft the new face of WWE, the man, Becky Lynch. Thank you for watching my fantasy booking warfare of Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35. Make sure you've watched Laurie Blake's video and cast your vote to decide who you think the winner should be and who will stay on to face Ollie Davis in January. I've been Luke Owen, and that was Fantasy Booking Warfare.